Guys, today we're going to try answer the question, can Alex Pereira actually become the greatest of all time and have that title as the GOAT? Now, obviously, depending on when you're watching this video may not be valid anymore because this weekend is UFC 313, so that might switch up some things, stir the pot, but we'll just have to wait and see. But as of right now, as of the time recording this video, let's look at how can Alex Pereira actually become the greatest of all time. And hopefully you can formulate your own opinions. As usual, comment down below what you think, if you agree, you disagree. And without further ado, let's get into it. So wait, why is the okay, there we go, that's my Alex Pereira. Here are some of the reasons already which can put him up towards that GOAT status. Like, let's be honest, he's already, he's already solidified himself up there. I mean, he's made a big name for himself already. But these are some of the big reasons why, he can be considered as, some of the few reasons why he can be considered as the GOAT, which I've listed right here. So obviously, he joined the UFC in 2021. He's speed around the UFC. He's been here for, I believe, he joined in 2021 November, and we're in 2025 February. So that's just over 3 years he's been in the UFC, and he's already achieved so much. He's become a double weight world champion in the middleweight division and in the light heavyweight division. He's got 8 out of 10 finishes in his fights. 2 have come to decisions, but still an 80% finish rate is pretty good. He's so active. He's 37. Well, he began at 34 in the UFC, but he's been very, very active. We don't see a lot of athletes be as active as he has, even when they're younger. So he's active in the peak of his powers, prime of his career. He's also beaten several champions, past or current, in the time he's been here. And he's knocked them out. He's not one to mess with. He's here, he gets the job done, and all he says is Sharma. Do you know what I mean? So let's look at some of his notable wins. Obviously, these are some of the top contenders. Basically, you can say all of his fights. Even Roundhouse, Roundtree. You could list them up here as well. But obviously, Sean Strickland, he quite easily beat Strickland. But Strickland did end up becoming the middleweight champion a few years down the line. Regardless of what you think about Strickland, whether you like him, you don't dislike, whether you like him, you don't like him, he still became the champion. And you need to respect that. Obviously, knocking out Israel Adesanya, who was at the time in his prime, to become the middleweight champion. Yes, he did end up losing, that title, but still, do you know what I mean? Jan Blachowicz, when he moved up to light heavyweight, not one to mess with. He did beat him by decision there. He's beaten Jerry twice, do you know what I mean? In the fashion he has, in the last one, especially the way he knocked him out. Then, obviously, he also beat champion. He was the heavyweight champion, or the light heavyweight champion, I believe. How have I forgotten his name? Jamal Hill. It just went out my head. Obviously knocked him out as well inside 3 minutes or so. So he's got the resume of the top contenders there, of the champions. So at this point, there's options which he can choose. Now he's got the option to choose who he wants to fight. It's because he's already built up the reputation that he can beat whoever he wants to beat, basically. But these are some of the notable wins I've obviously just put down. But you can look at all of his fights, basically. Most of his fights in the UFC are big wins anyway. So we can look at what's next for Pereira. And obviously, this weekend, Ankalaev. A lot of people have been saying, Pereira's ducking Ankalaev. He doesn't want to fight Ankalaev and all of this, all of that. Well, it's finally going to go down. A lot of people have been saying that also Ankalaev is going to be the one to beat him. He's a wrestler. Alex Pereira doesn't come up against these types of wrestling fighters. That's why he hasn't lost like that. That's what people have been saying, not I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? So we're gonna all see it, plan out the way it does. We're gonna see it go down, and it's gonna be interesting. So that's definitely what's next for him. And depending on how that fight goes, we can look at some of the other options, considering moving down to 185 to fight Dricus du Plessis. Du Plessis has called out Pereira before. He said that he's fighting Khamzat next. He wants to fight Khamzat next for the title. Defend his title against Khamzat. But seeing Khamzat's track record, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of sickness or injury or a delay or something. So I could see that fight definitely happening regardless. maybe move up to heavyweight. He's hinted at that John Jones fight, and John Jones has hinted at that fight himself. Dana White isn't very pleased about that. He doesn't want to make that fight happen, but you never know, what more title defenses to add to his resume. And I just put learn English and Sharma. Imagine if he spoke English. Like, already how big of a star he is speaking just Portuguese. Imagine he spoke just basic English, like actual, like comprehensive English. This man would be by far the biggest. By far. Like, it wouldn't even be close. He's already big, but he would be twice as big. Do you know what I mean? But if we just look at some of the options, like here, just break it down a little bit. Obviously, for Ankalaev, if he does end up being Ankalaev, what does that mean for his GOAT status, whatever you want to say? I mean, in the light heavyweight division, there's no one really there to pose a threat. Do you know what I mean? He's basically beat all of them. There's no one there to pose a threat anymore. So he's basically wiped out that division for now anyway. Then if, he ends up winning that fight, he goes down to 185. This is going to be a lot of hypotheticals, but he goes down to 185 for Duplessis, then beats Duplessis, who's another former champion then at that point. And now he's, the king of that division again, the middleweight division. It's, do you know what I mean? Now he's just like, I think the picture paints itself in your head. You don't need me explaining it. Also heavyweight. Imagine if he goes up to heavyweight and wins that title. That I think is a lot more valuable. He'll be the first triple champion in the UFC history. Not simultaneous triple champion, but triple champion nonetheless. Middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. I don't see him, really going up to that heavyweight division, like actually, but it's up there. If the offer is up there, I'm sure he could. But if he does end up staying, in these divisions, farms up a few more title defenses, like I said, the picture's painted itself. He's already beaten several champions. If he ends up beating more, just by defending titles or ends up moving divisions, it's kind of hard not to make a case. He just needs more fights at that point and more title defenses to really just stack it up and just get the numbers games, get them Anderson Silva type of numbers games. But he is aging, and the age ain't on his side. But while he's here, we need to appreciate him to the max. Now, what else have I put? Is it possible? It's very possible. It's very, very possible that he can actually become this GOAT status, because Alex Pereira is not just this normal fighter. I know we say this about some fighters, but this guy is the real deal. We've been saying this for a long time now. He knocks people. He's going to punish you. Do you know what I mean? If you slack off for a second, he's going to punish you. That left hook check is no joke. Do you know what I mean? We've all seen it in action. He's no joke to fight against. There's so far no signs of slowing down. Yes, he well, I believe his last fight was it Roundtree or was it? No, it was Pereira. Jiri. Prahajka, I was about to say Pereira. It was against Jiri. It was a finish. But before that, he fought Roundtree. Why do I keep saying Roundhouse? Khalil. We're going to call him Khalil from now on. He fought Khalil. And that, did take him a few rounds. But then, we saw him go into that flow state in round 4 or 5. Can't remember what it was. And just, we saw how Khalil looked like after that fight. Pereira done his work. So far, he's, at his age, no slowing down. As of yet. And then if he ends up doing anything from the previous slide, he's the top 5 of all time. I'm talking about here, if he moves up to heavyweight, goes back down to 185, beats more title defenses, all of this, top 5 of all time. I don't want to hear anything because he's made his case for it. He's fought for it. It's not like all of these, but it could be debatable because of these wins or because of that. No. I think we can all agree that if he, gets a few more title defenses or becomes a champion again in 185 or heavyweight, but I think if he becomes a heavyweight, he's a top 2 of all time, realistically. Then at that point, because a triple weight world champion, that's never been done before. Same way, when Conor became simultaneous double champ, it's, that's why we look at it so highly. The first person to do it, and maybe the only person, to be honest. Now, maybe not the only, but one of a very few if he does become that triple champion, But I already see him as a top 10 of all time. I really do. Seeing his track record, he's only been here for over 3 years, just over 3 years. He's been here for 3 years and he's been here for maybe 40 months in the UFC. From November 2021 to February 2025. That's 3 years in between, 22, 23, 24, and then what? Exactly. So as little of a short time span as he's been here to do as much as he has. Yeah, like that's GOAT. That's just GOAT status right there already as it is. But he is the people's champion, and we love Pereira. And he doesn't need to be labeled as, all of these greatest of all times to know how good he is. But let me know what you think. Oh, I had him. I don't know why I didn't have him the whole time, but there you go. Let me know what you think down below. If you agree, you disagree. How do you think UFC 313 is going to go down? If you think Pereira is going to win, drop a comment saying Sharma. And if you think that he's actually going to end up losing to Ankalaev, then let me know. Other than that, if you enjoyed it, drop a like. Let me know what else you want to see. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.